This map illustrates a massive historical discrepancy. It shows the geographic footprint of a man who never traveled outside a 100-mile radius, an area smaller than the state of New Jersey. Yet his teachings now anchor a religion with over 2 billion followers. He commanded no army and held no political office. Despite having no conventional leverage, he was targeted as a severe threat to the state, culminating in a public execution. This is the face of the ruling establishment at the time, Augustus Caesar. Under his reign, the Roman Empire exerted overwhelming, unified power over the tiny, subjugated region of Judea. It was into this occupation that Jesus was born, likely between 6 and 4 BC, a date corrected centuries later by scholars who realized the original calendar was miscalculated. His life began with a localized massacre. Driven by paranoia of a rival, King Herod ordered the death of all male infants in Bethlehem, forcing Jesus' family to flee south as refugees in Egypt. Starting life as a hunted refugee makes his eventual conquest of the very empire that pursued him a historical anomaly. After returning from Egypt, Jesus lived here, in Nazareth. For 30 years, he remained in absolute geographic and political obscurity, working as a carpenter in a village with no relevance to the Roman world. The only recorded exception to this silence occurred when he was 12. During a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, he was found inside the temple, debating elite scholars on the intricacies of Jewish law. While modern traditions depict a cozy wooden barn, the historical reality of his birth was likely a dark, unventilated mountain cave, used to shelter animals from the elements. For 3 decades, he operated in strategic silence. He built no worldly leverage and no political ties before suddenly emerging to launch a public movement. At age 30, he arrived here, at the Jordan River. His baptism by John the Baptist served as the ignition point for his public campaign. He immediately retreated into the brutal Judean desert. For 40 days, he remained in total isolation, resisting temptation and establishing the spiritual authority that would define his mission. When he began building his core faction, he bypassed religious scholars and the educated elite. Instead, he recruited common, illiterate fishermen, men with no status in the eyes of the establishment. His movement soon became geographic provocations. After a quiet miracle in Cana, he traveled into hostile Samaria. By speaking to a marginalized woman at this well, he broke ancient taboos separating their peoples for centuries. His movement was built on empowering the lowest tiers of society. By bypassing established power structures, he created a base that the ruling class could not easily control or influence. The polarization was immediate. When he returned to his own hometown to preach, the rejection was so severe that his neighbors attempted to execute him on the spot. The tension rose as he claimed authority over the physical world. By healing a leper and a paralytic, he was publicly addressing ailments that his culture viewed as divine curses. Religious leaders reacted with outrage when he claimed to work directly alongside God. This assertion was interpreted as the ultimate blasphemy, putting him on a collision course with the law. During a lethal storm on the Sea of Galilee, Jesus walked directly across the waves to his terrified disciples. By demonstrating physical dominance over the elements, he showed his inner circle that their safety was now tied to their faith in him. His influence grew so large that thousands of followers tried to forcibly crown him king. Jesus rejected the role of a traditional political revolutionary, escaping alone to the rugged mountains to avoid a premature conflict. He then led his followers here, to Caesarea Philippi. At this center of pagan worship, known as the Gates of Hell, he established the foundation of his church and explicitly predicted his own execution. Every miracle performed and every boundary crossed made a fatal confrontation with the ruling elite unavoidable. This is the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the heart of the establishment. Jesus entered the city during Passover, a time when both Roman and Judean authorities were heavily armed and on high alert for civil unrest. He launched a physical disruption within the temple itself, overturning tables and attacking the financial mechanisms that sustained the religious order. To stop him, authorities exploited his inner circle. Judas Iscariot agreed to betray him for 30 pieces of silver, the specific legal price of a common slave at the time. He was captured during a midnight arrest in the secluded Garden of Gethsemane. He was immediately thrust into a Roman trial, a process designed to quickly eliminate political rivals. The crucifixion was the state's legal mechanism for eliminating any disruption that threatened the absolute order of the Roman Empire. At the execution site of Golgotha, he faced the full brutality of Roman law. His final public act was a radical offer of forgiveness to the men killing him. 3 days after his brutal burial, his tomb was found empty. He then returned to his disciples for 40 days, providing final instructions to carry his message to the ends of the earth. His followers transformed a localized movement into a global expansion. They began infiltrating every level of the Roman Empire, eventually turning the state that executed him into the center of the Christian world. Was this expansion the result of divine intervention, or did his strategy of localized compassion